it's. I mean, it's hot. It's a bit hot, but the sun is under the clouds, so it's not the best weather. The skies are not clear, but it's not
Yo,
cold at all.
apha kuyabanda, bekunetha nemvula.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's a bit hot this side, but it can rain anytime now. It's rain season.
Oh. So how is it going? How's the 365-day challenge going?
Hey,
Putting in the
Baba.
work.
I think once you get into it, once you get into the groove, it becomes like you're in motion. You can't stop. Yesterday I was chilling, and I was like, let me just take one video. Whilst at home,
Yeah.
let me just take one video,
Yeah.
and one video became seven.
Yeah, I've got this short content for days, bro.
Hey, well, but because you have to be contingent in your approach. Well, you never know. Like my camera broke, my lens, it broke. So I was concerned. I was shooting with the back camera, and you can't shoot with the back camera alone. You have to have a setup. And usually during the
Yeah,
week, I don't
someone who's
really have
gonna
much
monitor.
time. Yeah, and during the week, I don't really have
Mm.
much time. So I just decided, let me just shoot. But then I think I figured a way around it. But I need to get a new camera thingy. But it's
Ah,
going
we
good.
have to push, but I'm just impressed with your work ethic. Yeah, you push it.
Yeah, man. I think because I understand the value of the content itself, besides what impact it will have, but the content itself, like the quality, it's very high quality content. I don't think I can just let it go that easily. It needs to reach the right people.
Yeah, I'm in a station here. The train just got in.
Oh, damn.
You can see
No,
it.
you're
Do you have
traveling.
trains that side?
Yeah, there are trains in Cape Town, but I don't think there's many trains in the township side. I think the final station for the townships is Enyanga. Anything beyond that, all the way from Philippi to Kailicha, the trains are not working. But then other lines, I think they're working just fine. But I've never used it. I haven't used a train maybe in 5 years or so.
Normally, when I work this shift, I try to use it. It's cheaper because it takes you 25 rand and the train is 750.
No, trains are very cheap. That's why they need to be Prasa needs to be Prasa needs to be dealt with because trains will save you a lot of money. If you use a taxi, it's basically the same as using a car. It's very expensive. Sometimes it's even more expensive than using a car because then you can't take a shortcut when you're in a taxi. You have to follow the route that the taxi uses. Trains are very very cheap. They're like a quarter of what you would spend otherwise.
So why are the public infrastructures failing? The SOEs. What are your thoughts around the SOEs
Well, I mean, there's a
and the rise of the private
there's a very obvious issue
companies?
with incompetence.
Is it deliberate?
There is a deliberate sabotage of these institutions, but also there's a serious issue of incompetence and a lack of willingness to actually address it. If you're gonna put people in positions simply because they belong in your party, there's a problem with that. And it's not just ANC. All the other parties are also like that. All of them, they're like that. I know the DA are gonna pose as if, no, we are the alternative. They're just like that. Politicians, they're self-defeating. They can't help themselves. They're liars. But unfortunately, these are incompetent liars. At least if they were competent, then systems would work. I think the ANC has a very weak command when it comes to maintaining systems and creating systems. I mean, how many cities has the ANC built since 1994? How many cities? How many universities? High standard universities? How many hospitals have they built? But then you look at the private sector, there's so many developments that the sector is doing. There's so many malls that are popping up everywhere, and malls are not helping us at all. It's just centers of consumption. We don't need malls. We need new developments, new industrial areas. We need firms. We need manufacturing plants. That's what we should be building. And I think companies like Prasa, Metro Rail, Post Office, one of the reasons they're failing is because of incompetence. It's not even rocket science. It's very clear. These guys don't know what they're doing. Two, they don't really care about the value that these structures bring into the country. They just use these structures to launder money. And this money laundering thing is not just public, it's also private sector. There's so much money laundering in the private sector, probably more. There's probably more money laundering and corruption in the private sector than there is in the public. But the public sector is so obvious. They're not even good at money laundering. They're so obvious about it, and it's quite sad to see actually, because people died for this, man. Blood was shed for this. Lives were
Yeah,
lost for
cause
this. Yeah.
I was listening to this guy, Professor PLO Lumumba.
Lumumba, yeah.
Yeah, so that guy, they, they asked him a question about what's the difference between politicians and leaders. So he mentioned leaders such as Kwame Nkrumah, Julius Nyerere, Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela, and he said those guys made a significant change because there are people who sacrificed their life. They were selfless. They were not for. They used the political arena to make change to people. Now people are using the political arena to
For benefiting
self-enrich
themselves.
themselves.
Yeah, I think also, man, there's something that we don't really talk about. There needs to be an actual plan. There is no plan, man, for a lot of these departments. Department of Infrastructure, they don't have a proper, well-detailed plan and strategy behind them. They're just doing it as the day comes. Even if there is a plan, it's just there somewhere in the sideboard, in the cupboard there. So a plan goes a long way. And just effective systems, man. Build an effective system. When it comes to governance and politics are two different things. When it comes to governance, you should treat the country as a company more than anything. Treat it as a company. People who occupy certain positions, they are literally managers and CEOs and technicians and all that. And that's what these guys need to understand. Governing is not a political thing. It should be based on merit more than anything. It should not be based on anything else other than the ability to do the work and the willingness to do the work that needs to be done. So I think there's a
To
big
say,
gap there.
because that guy said that a leader is a person who realizes that, who knows actually that he's not better than anyone, but he's a person who's directing a people to a certain direction that's gonna help them and actually makes their life better. Yabo.
I think
And
it's easier.
that person is selfless.
I,
He's putting
I
himself
I
out
think it's
there.
yeah. I think it's easier for governments, even here in South Africa, to keep people in that constant state of hypnosis. That's why you see so much obsession with social grants and donations and freebies and charities and all this nonsense that they do. 350 rands a month. And there's people who so grateful for that. People who so happy that they get 350 rands a month. They don't even know what they're giving in place of that. The opportunity cost, it's too high. So I think it's easy for governments to keep people in that constant state of lifelong poverty, because poverty is a state of mind, and it's easy for them. They'll just give them a parcel, a t-shirt here and there, some donations, social grants here and there, and then people can be pacified. It's like a child's pacifier, and then these guys can continue actually laundering, and they launder for the private sector and for themselves. They don't just launder; they launder for the private sector here in South Africa specifically. The private sector being foreign interests, Chinese and West and East actually, and being elite South Africans as well. That's what I'm talking
Yeah,
about. Government is
we
serving
still
people.
they say colonialism is dead, but it still continue through this neo-colonialism because
Who killed it
now
if
you
it's
have
dead?
these compradors leaders who work as agents of these people. And they've actually, if you can look at the structure of South Africa from way back when the Boers were Afrikaner, when they were governing, there were just a
Yeah.
few elite. They were given that tax, that money, and so that they can pacify the masses and actually continue with the agenda of colonialism. But this time it's neo. Yeah, but
It's neo,
through
yes. It's
black
it's
people
inclining
where
towards it.
black people are being put to government. They have filled up the parliament, but actually they don't have the power
Yeah.
to make critical changes. Because if they can actually fight for the land, the question is, if we fight for the land, do we own our seeds? Nobody's speaking about our seeds, our food,
Yeah.
because there's these
Yeah.
GMOs. Yeah, but nobody's speaking about the Gutama seeds. Where can we get the seeds? Because now they've moved us to these GMOs and these companies who owns these seeds. If they can actually say, no, guys, you say you want your land, those guys will sanction us, will take away their seeds. There's gonna be hunger. People are gonna
Yeah.
revolt. They're gonna throw away the government, overthrow the government, and actually, these guys will go in and be like, "No, you see, we're intervening. This government is bad. It's bad. It's causing the people to starve. The unemployment rate. So yeah, those guys have a plan, bro.
That's why
We're fighting
that's
this
why
this system.
politicians like Julius, they will speak of these things, but then they'll never incite people and pacify them, incite them and pacify them. It's like this
Yeah,
tiptoe
because if you,
strategy that they use to keep people in
they doing,
delusion.
yeah.
It's just a
Because
way
if
to
you
keep
can look,
us occupied.
ANC was the one who was set. They were actually they pacified the masses for too long, and then they were like, no, ANC can't pacify the masses anymore. Let's put in this opposition which we're gonna control, a controlled opposition like about EFF.
Yes,
And then they put
yes.
EFF and they came with these rhetorics and they put them in a strategic position to say that no, you guys are gonna pacify even the youth because the youth is getting angry, doesn't have jobs, and then we pacify those youth so that they take the anger of the youth. That's what Julius is doing now. He's taking the anger of the youth and packaging
He's
it nicely so that he
he's
can
actually
commodify.
take he takes advantage of the anger, but not just the anger, also the hurt. The hurt, man, and
Yeah.
that one for me is more. It's blasphemy, because people are really hurt, and when you use
It's
that
hurt,
for
my
your own
brother. The
benefit,
reality
knowing
is
very
people
well that
are starving.
knowing very well that you are an elitist, money launderer, looter, thief, like all of them in the ANC, the DA, the IFP, the FFP, the EFF. They're all the same, man. These guys are not the solution for our people. And we have to deconstruct and completely obliterate that narrative that politicians are ever going to help our people. They've never done it before. They'll never do it again. That's why we are where we are today. The people who actually fought died. Those who fought actually died. Those who didn't die made deals. And it's not going to change, man. They made deals, and those deals primarily were focused on preserving their lives and the interest of those with whom they made the deals. So now, what that brings us to is that how do we get out of this rut? And it's a very long project. It's a long project. It might take the next 100 years, might take the next 75 years, and that's, I think, what we should be looking forward to. The project of self definition. We have to self define. We can't be defined by the government. For example, it's very easy. I'll give you one practical example. When you apply for a job, there's a box there that says you must tick black, Indian, Chinese, colored. Who said you're black or Indian or Chinese or colored? Why should you be labeled in your when you were born? Were you told that you are black by your parents? No, they told you that you are
Nothing.
Kehoshe from the clan of Kehoshe, or you are Zulu, or you are Ziz, or you are this or that. They didn't say, "Ah, you are this box or that box." That alone for me is a big problem. To such a point that when I was interviewing for this other job some years ago, I told the director, like, "Look, man, I'm a human being. You know, when you ask me, is there anything you'd like to tell us about yourself? Well, no, I'm a human being. If you respect me, I'll respect you back." And then I took the job
That's
because
true,
I'm
bro.
tired, man. You know, I'm not gonna be controlled by these guys. They're not gonna tell me who I am and who I'm not. You see, no one tell me who I am or who I'm not, and that's what these guys are doing. Where when they have these gatherings of theirs, whether they're EFF or ANC, they care about their common goal, which is to keep the population delusional and disillusioned,
Pacified.
debating
The
and
masses.
yeah, pacified, debating and fighting over futile nonsense. That's not going to help them. Whereas behind the scenes, they're changing laws and policies to benefit them and their kids. So I think it's a lifelong project, man, that we'll have to embark on. It starts with working on self. You know, when you work on yourself, like seriously work on yourself, it's definitely going to keep you occupied for a significant portion of time, and working on self is very difficult, and that's partly why I started, putting myself out there. I've been doing a lot of work on self and self development, self improvement, but I've been doing it for myself. But then I realized that there's more people like me, that don't know it yet. And I was like, you know what, let me put myself out there, meet my people, and let's just hold hands and work together to free ourselves from these chains, because these are chains. Whether the face of the chaining masters are black, or the faces are yellow, or the faces are white, it doesn't matter. We're still in bondage, and it's not going to change if you look to politicians for freedom. Freedom is not going to come from politicians, it's going to come from you when you create it for yourself. And that's exactly why I've dedicated my time to really just, oh, deconstructing everything that these guys never worked, because they teach people look outside for solutions. Solutions are generated within. You are the solution and the key, and you're the everything that you look for. You just need to find it, and you need to create it. You need to make it happen with like-minded people, and you will see the magic that you create. Look at countries like Japan and Singapore and Malaysia, how they've come from poverty and they've built an amazing system because they didn't look outside for help. They actually decided, look, let's make this happen. Whether it takes 100 or 200 years, it doesn't matter. Let's make it happen. They made it happen. But then here in Africa, it's a different story. We're not making things happen. We expect someone to make things happen. And that's the complete garbage that I'm against. So, politicians, they do what they're supposed to do, which is destroy, pacify, and keep people delusional. And we're not going to change that about them. Yes, we may have our own people infiltrate politics. That's not a problem. But then politics are not the solution. And I think that's all I want to say today. I think I'm going to leave now. We can continue with this later, my brother. How about that?
Yeah, let me push until I can continue. Oh, must I continue?
I
And
don't
then
know. Can you continue?
yeah, I can push. I can
My
push.
first time
Maybe for
doing
some
this.
5 minutes. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Okay, how do I leave this thing then? I've never done it before, so I'm gonna leave it now, ne? Peace, brother.
Peace, peace. Yeah, it's
No, I don't think you can continue. I think I'll have to end the stream.
oh, you have to end. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we'll continue. We'll continue tomorrow, bro.
Thanks,
I
man.
really enjoyed the
Tomorrow
chat,
we'll
and
make it
we need
longer.
more. Yeah, we need more of this talk so that we can actually conscientize people. I remember the quote, Yagamakaska, at people who don't know, who don't have the knowledge of their history, origin, culture,
Yeah.
are like a tree without roots. So we need to look back and actually find out who are we. And yeah.